Alpha.
A new era has begun. Storytellers can now fully express their passion and creativity and deliver breathtaking images to touch the hearts of people around the world. The power of cinematic expression and the design to turn your creative vision into reality are now in your hands. Deliver your passion whenever and wherever you go. New cinematic freedom. This is the Cinema Line FX3. Creators constantly strive to produce immersive content that pulls the audience into their world. The Sony FX3 uses the S-Cinetone color science, derived from our flagship Venice camera, to reproduce authentic skin tones and facial expressions, maximizing the emotional impact of the creator's vision. S-Cinetone color science is shared amongst all of Sony's Cinema Line cameras, offering an instant cinematic look without post-production. Additionally, S-Log3 with S-Gamut3.Cine can preserve rich color and tonal data in 10-bit 422, all intra format to enable whatever color grading is desired. Another key to cinematic expression is the ability to make the subject stand out. With the FX3, the shallow depth of field created by its full-frame sensor ensures an effective distance perspective. With a 15+ stop wide dynamic range, you can capture all the nuances of shadows and highlights to bring your work to another level. In addition, Sony's back-illuminated full-frame image sensor gives the FX3 stunning sensitivity, delivering high image quality even in low-light conditions. The FX3 is so sensitive that beautiful, clear slow motion can be captured in extreme low light. Slow motion is one of the most popular cinematic expressions to emphasize fleeting emotion, or a flow of time. To capture such moments, the FX3 offers uncompromised autofocus performance, even in slow motion. The FX3's comfortable operability is a key factor for solo shooters. Despite being the most compact Cinema Line camera, the grip and buttons on the FX3 are carefully located for stability and comfort. An XLR handle is also supplied, making light, easy work of low-position shooting. The handle includes two full XLR TRS combo connectors, through which 24-bit, 4-channel digital audio is recordable without an external recorder. What's more, the FX3 offers multi-thread holes on its body and handle for additional accessories, allowing it to handle almost any situation without needing to attach a camera cage. The FX3 also has active mode image stabilization to support smooth handheld shooting while walking, even without a gimbal. Sony's Catalyst software provides a further stabilization solution. It utilizes camera shake metadata to stabilize images more accurately in post. Maintaining manual focus on a moving subject can always be challenging. The FX3 also boasts Sony's state-of-the-art autofocus system, allowing you to leave focusing to the camera and focus more on the artistic vision. Sony's fast hybrid autofocus system, with phase detection points, precisely detects and smoothly maintains focus on moving subjects over the entire frame. Real-time eye autofocus is also integrated. The FX3 can effectively track the subject's eyes even in a shallow depth of field or high frame rate shooting. A simple touch on the desired subject initiates auto-tracking, which frees you to concentrate on your camera work or composition. Instead of manual operation, the FX3 offers different transition speeds, enabling rack focus and a quick focus shift expression supported by autofocus. Even when primarily using manual focus, autofocus can also be initiated by simply touching the subject. Sony's broad lineup of high-quality E-mount lenses are equipped with innovative actuators that perfectly bring out the camera's autofocus performance, making them ideal for filmmaking. The FX3 also offers high operability, reliability, and expandability. Designed to maximize performance for the most demanding content creators. The camera's ergonomics have been carefully designed for easy right-hand operation, allowing the creator to focus more on the actual shooting. Tally lights are positioned on the front, top, and back of the camera, so that the videographer and talent can tell at a glance when a camera is rolling. A side-opening vari-angle LCD monitor can be viewed from any angle, even when mounted on a gimbal, and is touch-sensitive for intuitive operation. The FX3 is also reliable enough for long, continuous recording. Uninterrupted 4K 60p recording is possible without any worry of thermal shutdown. Magnesium alloy is used in the camera's chassis and exterior covers, making it simultaneously strong and lightweight. Naturally, the FX3 has also been designed for dust and moisture resistance, for use in tough environments. Dual memory card slots allow backup and relay recordings, and the data read-write speed can be boosted by using CF Express Type A cards. The FX3 provides 4.2K 16-bit RAW output over a full HDMI port. Remote camera control is possible with the Imaging Edge mobile app on a tablet or smartphone, or via the Imaging Edge remote app on a PC, allowing focus controls. The FX3, the camera that allows content creators to realize their ideas, vision, and creativity. The Cinemaline Camera FX3 brings your visual expression into the world of cinema. The FX3 joins the Cinemaline series as its smallest and lightest offering. Through its Cinemaline series, Sony will continue to support the world's creators. Through a coveted look, paired with operability and reliability to meet a wide variety of needs. Cinemaline gives creators around the world the tools you need to capture emotion in every frame and unleash the true power of visual storytelling by using technologies shared across our range of cameras, enabling you to focus on your creative intent. Cinemaline, for all creators.
Sometimes a dream grows in the dark. The things you see will shift and shape it. The stories you encounter, the ones you write, the images you pursue as you chase the light. It's the space between. It's the voyage, the flight, the adventures we take, the friends we make. The partners we find. As the roads unwind. The heart becomes fully alive as it learns to swim against the tides.
How is the sound? Is it good? This is how I'm going to speak. This is the level that I'll be speaking at.
Hello!
Hi, please introduce yourself.
Just want to see what's happening there.
So I'm going to talk to your elbow because that's where she was sitting.
My name is Joel Crawford and I'm a Sony Alpha ambassador.
Okay, let me just put everyone out my mind and just see you.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Shani Coleman. I'm a Sony Alpha ambassador and commercial director based in Cape Town.
Hi, my name is Adi. I am a collaborator on the FX3 content film and I am a documentary filmmaker and director.
I'm Ofenze Mwase and I'm a Sony Alpha ambassador.
I specialize in tourism, travel and adventure films.
My name is Luke Bell. I'm part of XCIV and also Sony Alpha ambassador.
Hi, my name is Ian. I'm a Sony Alpha ambassador and I'm a filmmaker and editor.
I'm Kayla and I'm a collaborator on the XCIV FX3 launch video. I'm a videographer and editor at heart.
So I'm a cinematographer in South Africa and I specialize in doing music videos, commercials, TV series and some online content.
I had the wonderful opportunity to shoot with the FX3 for a few days, and what a joy. First off, I'm in love with the design. This camera body is built like a tank, and with good reason. 4 extra 1/4 inch threads enables you to add multiple accessories directly to the camera without fussing with the cage.
When we got the first inklings of the FX3, the first thing I immediately gravitated towards were those hard mounting points. I'm a person who loves to put my cameras in, some would say, dumb places. I love mounting them on drones, putting them in underwater housings, strapping them to the side of the car.
So my first impression with the camera, the first thing that I felt when I touched it is that I felt like this felt like a cinema camera. I can rig it up, I can put stuff around it. It's got so many screws on there that I can put my monitors, I can put my handles, I can put whatever I want on the camera. And the fact that I can do that with the camera is just incredible.
It's a cinema camera in such a tiny body, whereas content creators like myself have always moved to the mirrorless cameras because of their size and autofocus abilities. And we've never really stepped into the realm of cinema cameras, but with the FX3 you actually get the best of both worlds.
When I was first given the FX3, I was amazed at the fact that this is a cinema camera. Its weight, its maneuverability, the handle, it's a great marriage.
You get that tiny size with incredible autofocus, but you also have the ability to rig this camera up and make it the center of a production, just like on any big set where the actual camera is part of everything and it moves everywhere, changes from handheld to shoulder rigs to gimbals to even drones. Having that tiny body with all those abilities opens up a whole bunch of new creative ways of using the camera basically that we didn't have before.
I really enjoyed working with the FX3. It's a really small cinema line camera. It's small, so it's easy to handle, but it's got everything you need for a professional setup. So on the handle you get XLR inputs, which is really great for the sound department. It's also part of the cinema line, so it's the smallest body up to date, but you've got everything you need for especially for sound on productions.
The included handle also sports 3/4 inch threads, and apart from being great for low-down shots, now you're getting XLR audio straight into the camera without cables, fully powered by the hot shoe mount.
So initially I came from the big feature film industry where I was a loader on set. I feel like the FX3 has changed the game for us filmmakers on set, because instead of using this big crew of people, we can get a bit more personal with our films and we can start filming our own things without the big crew.
And the fact that they put a flip out screen on a cinema line camera, I think that's pretty incredible. It's really incredible how it actually can handle the image. Because I was shooting a lot of scenes at sunset and sunrise, and you know those scenes have a lot of crazy dynamic range. So the fact that you can see the character in a setting like that with a beautiful sunset or a beautiful sunrise is just incredible, and that's what you want in a camera.
I shot about 90% of my entire film in S-Log3, and with the 1-button gamma assist, exposure is super easy and you don't have to overexpose to get noise-free shadows. Taking the footage into post is a dream, and I find great pleasure in seeing how far I can maximize on the dynamic range by pushing the shadows up and bringing the highlights down.
One feature that we got to play around with, which is on Sony's other cinema level cameras, is the S-Cinetone color profile. And I was a bit dubious to use this at first, but after I started shooting with it and then looking at the footage in post, I was very, very impressed.
So what makes it so great is that it's easy to judge the image on location, because obviously with S-Log you really need to nail your exposure with the edit in mind or the color grade in mind.
Being a documentary filmmaker, you got to sometimes pick up the camera, run and gun, you know, and this is actually a cinema camera that can be a run and gun camera as well. So you don't have to think long and change a lot of settings. With the S-Cinetone profile, what you see is what you get. It's moody, it's cinema-like.
For our creative piece with the FX3, I came up with a piece called Can You Keep Up? And it was about putting our cast and putting the viewer in increasing scenarios of speed, right? And it exemplified all the fun places that I would want to put a cinema camera. And I could now put a cinema camera that was this small, this rugged, and this trustworthy when I put it on a drone or on a motorcycle or on a little remote control buggy.
There's one setup that I did where you can see my character is dancing in front of like flying sparks and they're going everywhere. The fact that we could capture that in 4K and it looked so clear. The focus on her was also super clear. It just looked incredible and it was something that I really fell in love with the camera. The 120p is so smooth, it's like it's buttery.
Coming from the feature film industry into a world where the Sony FX3 exists, it's so convenient for me to take a camera with these tiny little hands and go shoot whatever I need to shoot without having any restrictions.
It's not light. The weight is great because it's not too heavy and it's not a big cinema camera. It feels sturdy. It feels fleshy. It's proper. There were many times that I had to go into very remote areas and I was the only person that can access those areas. And now with this camera, being a cinema camera, you are set to produce a great product.
I feel like this camera is the perfect camera for each and every single person who wants to do documentary filmmaking, because you can have your sound there and it also helps you handle whatever gear that you have. Like, what more do you want from a camera, to be honest? Let's talk about it.
A built-in fan means unlimited recording in all frame rates, regardless of the temperature. We shot our film on 2 of the hottest days in Cape Town, and the inside of the abandoned warehouse felt like an oven. I see this being an incredible camera for documentary filmmaking and commercial shoots with small to medium crew, but also as a great B-cam to an FX9 or FX6. If you absolutely have to rig up an external monitor, but also want to keep it simple, this camera is your best bet.
There was something missing, and this camera fits in perfectly. It's really going to be so useful for so many people.
I had a lot of fun with the FX3, and I think that the lesson I learned from my piece is perhaps I can't keep up with all of the things and all of the shots I want to do with a cinema camera of this size and potential.
Okay guys, welcome to the official South African FX3 launch. I think we're all ridiculously excited about this unit. I think cinema just got introduced to something that we're not used to. And I mean, from everyone's experience here, shooting content with it, having the camera first, and just becoming one with that camera, I think we're really excited to share that piece of knowledge with you and that piece of new experience that we haven't had before. I think specifically in Cinema Line, I think we're really all excited to share that message with you today. So without further ado, let's jump into this one. Okay, so let's kick this session off by starting with the first impressions. I mean, the moment you receive the Cinema Line unit that's so small, I can't imagine what ran through your head because I didn't see it before you saw it. I'd like to know what your first impressions were.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I've got quite a lot of experience with like cinema cameras because I do a lot of commercial work as well as film and stuff for TV. We're always using big cameras. So the first thing that I noticed with this camera is the fact that it's so small, you know? The fact that that size can fit on a gimbal and then it takes you like 2 minutes to calibrate and then whoosh, you fly.
Okay, and I can imagine for you guys, XCIV team, so I mean, this is a Cinema Line so small and you guys love rigs and cars and drones and this and that. I don't know, what was your experience with it?
I mean, normally we have to set up infrastructure on a camera to make sure it's secure. Even cinema cameras, not all cameras come with those hard mounting points. So the second we got the FX3, turning it around, those 1/4-inch screws on all sides, that was the most beautiful thing to see. Knowing that I could just take this camera and immediately securely mount it onto any kind of rig that I wanted. And yeah, as you say, we love doing that and maybe overdid it a bit on this piece. But it was really great to know that the camera was secure and out in the world.
Yeah, my thoughts when I first held the camera were that it was basically just a really robust cinema camera. And I think that's the difference is with cinema cameras is that you have that body which is just built to withstand anything, and it felt like I could drop it and it would probably damage the floor and not the camera. So that was my first impressions, and yeah, it lived up to those expectations.
Yeah, myself as well, coming from a cinema background, I couldn't believe that there were fans installed. I couldn't believe that it was so tiny, but it could do so much, and that was so impressive for me.
That's a little pocket rocket. I can imagine the first impressions on that thing.
I remember before Kayla started working on cameras that size, on her first day she came in with all these bruises, and it was from having to carry like all these large bags of gear. And I think that working with cameras the size of the FX3, we maybe ensured that you're never going home with bruises with camera bags again.
No sore muscles, nothing. It's just easy.
Yeah, I think my first impression when Ian handed me the camera was, you know, it's small and you're used to bigger stuff. So this is a perfect cinema camera for a woman, I think. And it's sturdy, it's proper, but it fits into your pocket. Loved it.
When I think of cinema cameras, I always think a bit bulkier, but this camera was just it's a little small, perfect little body, and I like the ergonomics, the lights. Yeah, there's so many things about this camera. First impression was just like, wow, this is something different, and I just liked working with it.
Yeah, so I'll just add to what everyone else is saying. I really think that it's a pretty camera. I know that sounds silly, but when I saw the camera, I thought that is a beautiful piece of camera. The fact that a small box like that can deliver cinema images, but then when you look past that, you actually get to the point where you feel the buttons, and you can see that all the buttons are well thought out and well placed, and the daily lights, there's so many things that I like, but I like the fact that it's video centric. It's made for cinema first, and you can use it as a hybrid, but it's made for filmmaking, and I love that.
So let's quickly talk about your process of your content creation using this unit specifically. I mean, if we're talking about Cinema Line cameras, we automatically see these massive rigs and everything. I want to know how did this camera fit into your content creation, and what did that process look like, differently than using bigger units?
I think a little behind the scenes on how we as ambassadors make these videos. We find out about the camera pretty soon before you guys do, and time is a huge limiting factor for us. So when there's a change in handling, when there's a change in ergonomics, and when there's a change in overall efficiency of how we use the camera, it completely changes the type of content we think we can create for these launches, right? Even a marginal change on this camera weighs X amount less, this camera handles X amount more, means that when I'm thinking of what content we're going to make for this piece, we can make it so much more expansive. We can aim higher because there's serious time constraints when we create these videos, and we know that those time constraints exist like in the commercial world for the rest of us.
Yeah, for me it's just about the camera gives you options. So we already spoke about how robust the body is. You can feel it, you can see it, and those extra 1/4 inch threads just inspires confidence, saying that you can put on anything when you need it, what you need it when you need it. So in my shoot, I found that using different, I rigged it up differently for different scenarios. For some of the low down shots, I put the handle on. I really love going low with the handle and knowing that it's actually part of the camera. It's not a rig or a cage or something that I have to take off again, because when I take that off and put the handles on again, it was really quick and simple. But what I love about the fact that it's part of the camera is when I was using the buttons on the camera, especially if I use bigger rigs, it feels like the camera gets lost in the rig, and you don't, the buttons sometimes it's tricky to operate, where now it feels like it's an extension of the camera, and everything, I still felt like I was part of the camera. And using a monitor on this camera for me is the easiest way, because it's right on the camera. And when I took it off to transfer it to the gimbal, it's much quicker than a cage. A cage for me is I've actually ran into scenarios where a cage ended up costing me a shot that I could have gotten better, but the time to take it off and put it on the gimbal. So in my shoot, I use the gimbal a lot, and just how quick it is to assemble and make a change. For me, it was really efficient.
Yeah, I think adding on to that, like even myself, I get to use like gimbals quite a lot. And the fact that, you know, this camera can just fit on your gimbal just as easily, like it makes it so much easier to film with, because weight is an issue as always, as I mentioned before. So with this camera, that issue actually literally goes away. And just the way you could rig the camera, instead of like, let's say a bigger camera, most of the time it's very difficult to get some shots. Like for instance, I remember on my set, there was a scene where I was actually filming somebody driving. I literally poked myself out of the window and literally got the shot from outside of the car. And I don't think something like that would be possible with like a bigger camera or a heavier camera. You definitely need a car mount to get something like that. And the fact that I could do it with this camera so easily, it was just so perfect for RC. Yeah.
For me, again, my passion is community work. So I like telling the stories of people that would normally not get the opportunity. And those people, they've been through a lot, so they don't want to see a big camera coming in and feeling intimidated by it, because that's what it is. You know, you want them to feel as comfortable as possible. And I feel that if I go in with a camera this size, it will make them feel so much more comfortable and produce the best quality that I can possibly get from that.
The really cool thing is that with this camera, the cage is kind of built into the camera. So at one point, I just attached a handle right onto the side of the camera, which I've obviously never been able to do before. And it actually worked pretty well. I was quite impressed. And then the shot right after, I put the camera inside a helmet to get a point of view shot from the biker. And that's just something you can't do with a camera that's bigger than that.
Yeah. I think this might be the first run and gun cinema camera out there. And the maneuverability, you know, the fact that size is, it's a small camera, but it's cinema line, and the handle, and the fact that you know, when you have to do low shots, it's easy. The handle just makes it way easier. And also the tally lights, to me, you know, it lights up. You cannot know that you're not recording. So there's a few things that I really think that body-wise, it's fantastic to film with it. It's easy.
Okay, let's quickly jump into specs. I mean, we can talk about specs all day, and there's tons of good specs in cameras these days, but there are some that enable us to create content better, emotionally, physically, in whatever way. I want to know about this unit. What is it that enables you to create exactly what you want, or even more, just because of the unit itself, the specs itself, where Sony is going with generation after generation of technology being put into these units? Where does that take you with your content creation?
Yeah, I think for me, it's not about one individual spec. It's about this conversion of marginal increases, right? It's about the fact that we've arrived at the point with the FX3 that we have a cinema camera that has excellent autofocus. It has all of these smart tracking features. It has that ergonomic body. You can rig it. And we've now, like, all of a sudden, while each of them individually seem like these incremental increases, when they all come together, when it's the camera by my side on the day, it kind of crosses that threshold of, like, this is another crew member. This is a thing, this is a tool that I know I can put in this scenario, automatically trust it, because it's marginally increased in all these different ways. So for me, it's about, like, almost adding another team member and knowing its capability right off the bat.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, when I think about it, it's actually kind of ridiculous that we have access to cameras like this that even exist, because back in the day, I imagine, like, you would dream of something like this. So it's crazy that like, we as content creators or videographers actually are able to use cameras this good.
I can add to that. Something I've really come to love from Sony, they're always improving upon because they're listening, getting feedback from their customers, is the fact that I've become spoiled with how efficient the cameras are. So that on the day, I allocate a certain amount of time for a few scenes, and then we wrap up earlier, and I'm like, wow, we've got time left. Yeah. And I'm wondering why. It's because the camera is really easy to use. It's efficient, and that's what I love about this cinema line camera, that it's got that in-body image stabilization, and it enables me to shoot handheld on the fly. But still, the buttons are super customizable. I think I've mentioned this already, but one of my favorite features of this camera is the ability to change your frame rates with a shortcut. You don't have to go into the menu. So for my shoot, I was jumping between 25 frames to 50 frames to 100 frames the whole time. Thought that went into these cameras, and the way the buttons work is really made for fast and efficient filmmaking, so that you can focus on the story and you can focus on the shots and not so much on the camera.
Yeah, on that same note, like something like, you know, your tele lights, you would take something like that for granted, because I've been on a lot of shoots where we are shooting something and you think you're recording, you know, you think that you are actually recording, and the fact that after that shot is done and you like click that thing and then the camera starts recording. So you look at your crew like, does the camera turn red when you stop it? You know. So the fact that Sony went as far as I won't lie, that's my favorite thing about it as well. Like on the screen it goes red. You got all the lights around the camera, so you can't make a mistake of not recording. So small things like that make filmmaking for us so much more easier, you know, because especially because when you're working on gimbal stuff, you don't always necessarily see your screen. You might be working off a monitor. You can't even see if your camera's recording or what. So things like that Sony put into account, and they did it for us.
I don't know if you would agree. If I can have one today, I'll definitely take one.
For sure.
It's a brilliant camera, and it's so video-centric, but small, and then I just felt like this is just the perfect camera for my situation. And I think there's a lot of guys out there that's going to feel the same about this camera. You must just hold it in your hand, work with it, and you'll see.
Yeah, I think as Luke said as well, the features and the way everything marries each other helps you to focus more on content and whatever is happening there, because the small specific features that's built in really aids in you being able to focus on other things. For instance, I think when you're a documentary filmmaker and you have to be all over, the autofocus feature You know, I mean, when we were at film school, we were taught manual focus is the way to go. Autofocus was a swear word. And you're not professional to use autofocus. And I mean, this autofocus is amazing. You can set up the camera and direct, and you don't have to worry that it's going to go out of focus. So I got to say that's the one thing that I also loved. And the 4K, 120 frames per second, I can now deliver that. And not HD, and film in 4K 25.
So there's a lot of people watching this, and I'm sure they have tons of questions. Is this unit something that I need? Is it something that I want? And what about it do I want? What am I going to consume and digest about this unit?
I mean, yeah, for me it's very simple. If you want an intelligent, modern cinema camera that shoots different frame rates, uncompromising at 4K resolution, and you want to be able to put it anywhere you want, like anywhere, this camera's for you.
I would say also the fan inspires reliability. I have shot in some quite hot countries, and rolling documentaries, sometimes an interview goes on for like 45 minutes to an hour, and I've had it with previous cameras where the camera overheated, and I had to tell the person being interviewed, sorry, can we just take a quick break? The camera is too hot. And they were like, what? So for me, it's like reliability, knowing that you can roll any frame rate as long as you want until your cards or your batteries run out. You can roll. So it's about having that peace of mind with the fan, and again, yeah, just having the options to rig it up without rigging it up, without getting an extra cage and fussing with the cage. So if you were to require an external monitor or an actual external recorder, you want to shoot RAW with it, this camera is the best camera to do it, because you don't need anything extra. You just attach it straight onto the camera and without fuss. And the camera is solid. So I would say those things, it's robust and reliable.
And something like a flip out screen, I know we never really mentioned that on like cinema line cameras. So the fact that this camera has a flip out screen, and you know, us as cinematographers, we've actually used it, and we found the use to be very useful for us on set. It's something that is a big advantage. So if you want a cinema line camera with a screen like that, this is where you go. I think it's probably the only camera that has something like this. So that's a big win.
I think, yeah, it's been very interesting having these conversations behind the scenes of, until you use the camera, you're not sure where it fits. And then we're all 100% sure we want this camera.
That's true. I want to agree on that. When I found out about the specs, I saw it on paper. I'm like, where does it fit in? And when the moment I got my hands on it,
exactly,
I was like, I know it fits. It fits in my bag. That's where it fits in.
Okay, I think we can all actually agree to say, when, you know, especially if you've been in the industry for a while, like being technical is there, and then linking that up with emotion and with what your story is there. And there's this huge, there's a long way to walk from this point to this point, where you marry technical and you get it together with, you know, the message that you want to share. And I think for the first time, we're bringing this together. We're bringing this together as one piece, where we're marrying, like, we don't really have to worry about all these technical things anymore, because it's just exactly what we need, and we are focusing just on what's important to us as creators, as creatives. And yeah, we just get, I don't know, soaked in what we're busy with. It's just, we are immediately within the story. And I think it's because this equipment is allowing us to go there on a very, very deep professional level, but we are still 100% focused on what is the story and what is it that we want to share with people. And I think bringing that together is where this lies, where the vision is going. And I really think for all of us it's that way, and we really believe that it will be the same way for everyone out there. We can't wait to get this camera out there for everyone to test and to feel and to experience, because there is a place for it. Cool. Thank you guys so much for joining us today with this South African launch. We're really excited about this unit. Like I said, we can't wait to get it out there for people to experience. Like these guys have experienced it. I was super jealous, but I finally got to experience it also. And have a good evening. Yeah, it was great to have everyone. Thank you.